Welcome to another episode of What's Behind the Arch. Today we're going to be covering the leisure component of Umhlanga Arch, and to do so we've got Bryan Pietersen, Managing Director of the Legacy Yard. Firstly, Bryan, welcome and thank you so much for your time.
Sure, no problems at all.
Cool. Bryan, as a segue, I thought it'd be quite nice for you to just discuss and explain what the Legacy Yard is, and maybe highlight on where its location is within the Umhlanga Arch and the various components of the Legacy Yard.
Legacy Yard is in a nutshell a premium food market. We have taken 8 different concepts, or food concepts, if you can call it that, and put it in this incredible space situated obviously at the Arch. It's a place where you can come early morning to late evenings to come and enjoy the different cuisines that we've got on offer, and also we've got drink offering, right? So downstairs we've got the main bar, which will obviously service the downstairs food market. And then what came as a later idea is to use the rooftop. And we've created a very, very cool concept up there. So a rooftop bar called the Backyard, where that will open up lunchtime as going into the evening, where people can come up there, sit next to the fire pits, or just chill on our lounges, have a cocktail, enjoy the views, enjoy the live music.
Absolutely. And Bryan, the food and beverage industry, I know you've got a vast amount of experience in the sector, but it's extremely fast-paced and trends do change, regularly. With this in mind, what do you think is going to keep the Legacy Yard ahead of this curve?
The main objective for us really is consistency. Now, if you look at some of the biggest brands in the world, in the food industry, we can take McDonald's or whatever it is. They've always had the same products going back years and years and years. It's consistency. So that's what I'm going to hammer home to all the vendors is, guys, this is what you're proud of. Let's get the product 120% and let's give it a good run. And the biggest key to that is service-wise. You might have the most amazing food, beverage, or whatever. If your service is not up to scratch, you don't have a product. So yes, trends do change, but it doesn't change as quick as everyone thinks it does. Nowadays, I'll talk beverage. Nowadays, it's rum. Rum is this cool happening. Let's do the whole tiki vibe, which we're going to be doing upstairs. It's exciting. It's going to continue. But you can't just do rum. You got to filter in your tequila or your gin or your vodka, but keeping within the concept. So I think concepts is a broad picture, and then you just need to adapt within. And that goes for the food. The guys have to, they're proud of their menus, so they have to make sure that their menus are 120%, and there's longevity in those menus. And yes, there are going to be a couple products that might not work. No one's perfect. So it's a matter of adapting and going, that one doesn't work, that one doesn't work. What does our customer base want? What don't they want? And because it's a new concept, if you can call it that, and a lot of the vendors are inexperienced, we're going to have to listen to the market. So your customer base is probably the main market in which you listen to, instead of listening or reading all these publications, magazines. Hey, gin's the next big thing, or something molecular mixology and molecular food and edible cocktails. Yes, it sounds all amazing, but if you lose your focus on your core products, that's when you're gonna realize that you're losing the plot, really.
And Bryan, you just touched on I think it was molecular mixology. There's some people that may not know your past. I understand you've spent over a decade working in the food and beverage industry, with your most notable kind of venture being founding Pearl London, a high street, high-end bespoke cocktail bar. I think it's really exciting to know that that type of experience is flowing through to the Umhlanga Arch and the Legacy Yard in particular. But I just wanted to know, how do you plan on taking that experience that you've had, not just in London, but globally and across different beverage sectors? And how do you plan on incorporating that into the Legacy Yard offering, and what can not just tenants and owners and residents of Umhlanga Yard, but or Umhlanga Arch, but the public in general in Umhlanga expect to see with this at Legacy Yard backyard ventures?
Yeah, well, I have had pretty good experience, and rub shoulders with some of the best in the industry. From a chefing point of view, Gordon Ramsay, Heston Blumenthal, Locatelli, which is probably one of the most famous Italian chefs that's global. And that's more on my consultancy side of things. Yes, Pearl London is drink side, and it's we probably one of the first cocktail bars in London to bring the whole molecular mixology so food techniques into drinks. And we were very lucky to, a lot of people might know Heston Blumenthal, some people might not, the mad scientist around food. But then within my consultancy business, my main client is the one and only Resorts, which is a global resort company, actually started by Sol Kerzner, which everyone will know. And there it's I design and implement concepts for them. So with the Arch and with Backyard, it's thinking of, the whole experience of when you walk in, what do you see, what do you smell, what do you taste? It's the whole round experience of creating this brand. We wanted to create this cool brand. And I'm lucky I do travel the world. I do try foods all around the world. I do try drinks all around the world. I do mix with different people, and I think bringing that experience with obviously the guys of Renzo, et cetera, into the Legacy Yard, we do have little pointers in which we can say, that burger is amazing, but we tried it, in Australia, a similar one. Let's try and change the garnish. Let's try and change the taste. It's just picking up little aspects of our product and just making it now happening different. We want to be different to everyone. You don't want to have the same burger someone's doing down the road, or our North Indian street food, which I'm so excited to do. There's not many people doing that. Authentic street food, Indian street food. So it's just quirky things like that people can expect. And then upstairs at Backyard, we're taking the whole tiki drink phenomenon forward, where tiki vessels, which people might not be familiar with, but if they obviously look at our Instagram page, it's all bright, colorful, beachy, Miami, Caribbean style drinking. So it's all about taking, the concept and just making it fun, new, happening, and not what everyone else is doing. We need to differentiate ourselves between everyone. And I think the Arch itself is doing that. I've got guys from the one and only. I've sent them through what we're doing in Umhlanga, and they were going, that's like world leading. Yeah. So, and that's not down to me. That's down to the big shareholders.
And Bryan, you mentioned Umhlanga Arch being a differentiated offering. Now, most food courts are traditionally owner-operator run and self-marketed. I know that the developers all the way down to, how the distinct parts of Umhlanga Arch are going to be managed is going to be from a differentiated point of view. How are you and your team planning on managing the Legacy Yard and the Backyard? And how is this going to differ from how traditional food courts are kind of managed and operated and marketed in particular?
Well, just to touch base on marketing, marketing's an interesting one at the moment, because people's thinking now is, Instagram we all know is massive. And Instagram is the way in which we're going to channel our product. If this is another global thing, it's, let's put a plate of food in front of us. The first thought is, Jesus, someone going to take a picture of this and post it all over social media. So from a marketing aspect point of view, it's influencing our product, which is actually a good thing, because people are now, they're not putting just random stuff out onto the market, from a product point of view. So we as the Legacy Yard have taken a role in which we're not above our vendors, and our financial model and the way in which we've done the deals with the different vendors is not, hey, pay us rent and we forget about it, you're on your own. The model that we've created is what, like I said, offline, is if they're successful, we're successful, So, we've invested in there from a vendor point of view, plus being the landlord. So we've created this cool environment whereby we're not just going to sit back, and I'm not going to sit back with my experience. And I think that's why the guys got me involved is, there's no point of you sitting in the office and just, saying, hey, you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. It's actually using our experience to manage the guys, because like I said previously, a lot of the guys are not experienced. So the last thing you want to do is put massive pressure on them and say, you've got to pay your rent at the end of the month type of scenario. So I like to manage, and my way of managing, and that's throughout the years, is to really be like a support base. Sure. So come in there and support the guys and say, this might not be wrong, but how can we make it right? Let's look at the trends. Let's look at, there's so many different distinctions in which we can dive into, but it's making sure that our product is successful as a whole. Yes, there are different vendors, but we've also made it known that there's no competition. We don't want the chicken guy to compete with the sushi guy, etc., etc. That's not the environment we want to create. We want to create just the most incredible offering, so that people, will see that, friendly staff, friendly customers, good product, longevity.
Sure. And Bryan, if we can just finish on a bit of an appetizer, what are you most excited to reveal or showcase at the Umhlanga Arch Legacy Yard backyard?
I think the key to the whole of Legacy Yard is its position. Sure. And like you've just said now, it's, you come and sit downstairs in the market, you can look north and south. Big wall, floor to ceiling, glass panels, the view is incredible. And then you walk upstairs, you've got, more height, more vision, looking over the yard behind you, looking, more north, more south, Durban's got the best weather. Sure. Whether we like it or not, the weather here is incredible. So it's that whole vibe. Sit by the fire pits, with your friends, looking over the coastline, the most beautiful coastline, sipping on a cocktail. For me, and that's, people can say that, you take these sides because you're involved, but there's nothing like it, and I've traveled globally, traveled in South Africa. There's not a place where, specifically in South Africa, where you've got this incredible development with the views.
Bryan, it really is encouraging to see that not only are you striving for just consistency in your quality, but it really does strike home that this is not just a food court. It's an incubator for up and coming, talented, bespoke food vendors, and I'm hopeful to see a lot of these vendors not just succeed at Umhlanga Arch Legacy Yard, but take their ventures onto other locations. So yeah, really encouraging, Bryan, and I just want to thank you for your time. And maybe in finishing, how can people interact with the Legacy Yard on social? How are you going to be just publishing and communicating events, and how are you wanting the marketplace to interact with your offerings?
We actually had a pretty cool meeting yesterday, which finalizing the website. So, the website is going to be up and running in the next 2 or 3 weeks, which is going to be very informative. We're going to be doing a lot of events, a lot of live music at the Legacy Yard and Backyard. So we're going to have an events page where you can click straight through, book your fire pit or book your seating area. So, there's going to be Instagrammable swing up there where you can take pictures, hashtag us. So we really are harping on the social media aspect. So obviously give us a follow. It's the content on there is pretty interactive now. You can make cocktails at home, send us pictures, we'll publish them. So we want to be very interactive with our customer base, and then moving forward, keeping people up to date, monthly newsletters, trying to be new and hip, really, from a music entertainment point of view, with, again, young and up and coming musicians.
Bryan, thank you so much for your time. And we really look forward to seeing some people on the Instagram swing pretty soon. Just enjoying the vibe and the whole experience, as you touched on, at Legacy Yard, Backyard, and the Umhlanga Arch as a whole.
Cool. Thanks, Luke. Appreciate it, bud.
Brilliant.